what am I leaving my son? What's the world like in 30 years for him? Right? And decisions made now, we sit here and break rules that are clearly established in a constitution, which has existed for a couple hundred years and held this place together. When we start manipulating that document to maintain relevance for a very short-term goal for a politician or for one specific cause, whatever that cause is, when we start manipulating that and abandoning the rule of law, when we start doing that 30 years from now, that benchmark is what's going to be used against all the people that pushed it right now.
That's what scares me right now about all this talk about primaries, about limiting people from primaries. There's been, see if you can find this, they were saying that many states have chosen to only have Joe Biden to vote for in the primaries.
And you know,
sounds like such a bad idea.
This is my point, where people could think of Donald Trump however they want to think of Donald Trump. It doesn't really matter who the individual is. A court in Colorado is going to essentially make a decision based upon a trial that has not happened yet. In other words, they're basically saying he's guilty of something that he hasn't been tried for, and therefore they're removing him from a ballot.
Right.
And right now, maybe the Democrats feel as though they're justified in that action because they're so terrified of what Donald Trump may do if he becomes president again. But are they thinking about what's going to happen in 20 years or 30 years? Because this has now been established. And at some point, the Republicans will gain control. They will get a majority in the Senate again. We look through history. It just swings back and forth. It's going to, for 8 years it's this, and 8 years it's that. So another party will be in control, and that party can use all of these manipulations of rules to maintain control. And that's when you start to have a dictatorship at the end of the day. Regardless of who's left, right, doesn't make a difference.
Exactly. And if you let that happen, Biden won't have challengers in North Carolina 2024 primary elections. State Democratic Party decides. North Carolina Democratic Party declined to allow any Biden challengers on the ballot for the 2024 primary. They made a similar effort in 2020, attempting to put only Donald Trump on the ballot that year.
Both of those are terrible ideas.
Both of those are terrible ideas. In order to get on the ballot, you need to have donors in the state and actively campaigning in the state. Neither of them have been here this cycle. Who are the other people?
Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson.
How crazy is it? Who's Dean? Who the fuck are you, Dean? I never heard your voice. I never seen your face.
Minnesota.
Come on, let me see Dean. Imagine if Dean pulls it off. Maybe Dean's the man. I don't even know.
Isn't Marianne Williamson
Look at him.
like a self-help writer?
That's what it said right there, yeah.
She's a self-help writer?
Self-help author from California.
I want to think highly of everybody without prejudice. But if you tell me you're a self-help author from California, I automatically go, what? That's like a mini.
She's going to have to do a lot of counseling when she gets to D.C.
Yeah. I mean, is she going to self-help the world? Maybe she's good. I don't know. But either one of them have almost no chance against Biden anyway, right? So why are they limiting people's choice? You should never limit people's ability to choose. I mean, maybe those people can get on a debate stage and rock the world and all of a sudden there's a big movement behind them, but that's supposed to be what it's about, kids. That's supposed to be what the whole thing is about. If someone comes
100%.
along and they're more compelling candidate, you're supposed to get them. It's not, the party is not supposed to be able to decide who the guy is against the will of the people, because that's a lot like communism, kids.
It is. It's fascist.
It is. It's fascist. It's crazy. It's crazy that you think you could do it because you think your team is right. We're the good guys.
Well, if you think you're so right, then why won't you allow your positions to be challenged so that you can prove how much better they are?
Because they have the ability to enact control. Yeah. And when you give people the ability to enact control, they always take it. That's why you have to always resist them moving those fucking boundaries. Because it's just human nature. You could call it evil. You could say all these different things. You could call it greedy. It's human nature to want more. And when you have a certain amount of control and you can get a lot more things done with more control, you try to get more control. And then you try to figure out strategies. What can we do in order to make it important that we pass a new law? So now we have the NDAA. Now we have the Patriot Act. Now we have this. Now we got a lot more control. Now we have the NSA spying on everybody. Whew, much more control. It's much, and every time this happens, you get more and more.
The problem is those politicians. It doesn't matter if you're a congresswoman from Indiana or California or Texas. Yes, you were elected by a certain district and you're representing that district, but you're also representing every other citizen of the United States. You're a U.S. congressperson, okay? And you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution above and beyond everything else. And they're manipulating the document for very short-term game. And I'm not blaming, they're all doing it. And people need to wake up to that because they're going to manipulate it in a way that is going to look. There's plenty of countries in this world that have elections. They have now we're not a democracy, we're a republic, but they have their free elections and they got one candidate.
Yeah. That
And
was
guess
Putin
what?
in Russia, right?
That candidate always seems to win.
Crazy.
With an overwhelming majority.
Weird.
Isn't that shocking?
Crazy how that happens. And anybody who's a rabble-rouser gets shot.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds perfect. It's just, we should know this by now, you know? Listen, how about you leave the document alone, we'll let you keep you insider trading. Just like, we'll look aside. I'm not hating the game. I'm not hating the player.
Did you see that? I saw a really interesting thing about these senators on both sides that have been in for 20, 30 years. They make $175,000 a year.
And they're worth hundreds of millions.
$85 million, $195 million.
They're really good investors.
Oh,
Taylor.
really? Yeah, they
That's
are.
it. They're really good investors. Some people are good at it. Okay, maybe not so good at it. Sorry. They're prescient. They're like, you know, maybe there's a room that you can go to in the White House and you could just, you know, the universe gives you
think
suggestions.
we've hit a point to where, and this was a pretty popular conversation in the 80s and 90s, and then it just disappeared. I think we got to start talking about term limits.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Term limits are a good idea when you see someone like Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Because she's like the best at riding out that wave.
Oh, yeah.
You
With
know,
her
how about-
day trader husband?
Yeah, how about Feinstein? She rode it out until she was
died.
literally dying.
Yeah.
And they're telling her who to vote for.
Yeah.
They're just pushing her out there.
I think maybe it's going to probably take 2 terms to even figure out what you're doing in the House of Representatives. So
My
you need.
favorite is Mitch McConnell.
Oh, dude.
When he just switches off. That dude just switches off.
Hey, we've got some octogenarians up in there right now.
Yeah, once you switch off once, you can't drive anymore. Okay, you're not allowed to drive. You just switch off. Okay, Grandpa, give me the fucking keys.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're driving what? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're involved in important decisions for the entire world.
Should there be age limits?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Or at least an aptitude test?
An aptitude test, but also dependent upon future aptitude tests and future physical fitness evaluations.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think if you can't just say every 75-year-old is the same as every other 75-year-old. Because look at Robert Kennedy.